My name is Keri Barnum. I'm filling in for Amy Collins. I'm the marketing director for New Shelves, and I'm just here to answer your questions today. I always love hearing from you guys, so I'm pretty excited. Let's see. Hi, Wendy. Good to see you. Hi, Linda. Thank you. All right, let's jump right in. Our first question today came in by email, so I'm going to get to that one first. Excuse me. Um, we have a lovely woman, Christine. Is it Christine or Christina? Let's see. I don't get your name wrong. I say it wrong the entire time. Christina. Christina wrote in an email and she's been patiently waiting. And so here's her question. When is a good time to start an author book landing page or a wait list for a self-published book? I don't have a publication date yet. So the gist of the story is that Christina is writing this book. She's in the first draft, and it's a business resource. She doesn't have a title yet. It's still pretty new, but it's all about how she is successfully running a food photography business. She's been blogging and building up an audience. And her writers group is encouraging her to have a wait list or a landing page of sorts where people can wait list for the book. But she's a little concerned because that book is not actually up yet. It's not written. It's not like she's, um, you know, she's not quite there. And so the question that always comes up is how soon is too soon? And that's a great question, Christina. And what I would say here is that it's never too soon to start telling people that it's coming, to have a email collection resource on your website. If you don't have a website, absolutely get one. And I really encourage you that you go and you just have a newsletter collection and say, if you would like updates about my blog and my upcoming book, leave your email so that I can get in touch with you. And if you do that, you can update them as you go along. I think having a wait list for the book specifically may be a little bit too soon if you don't have a title, you don't have a cover, and you don't know when you're going to publish. But telling people that you'd love to keep them updated on the book would be great. And then you can really start to build up your email list so that when you're done, you have this great big email list of people that you can say, hey, my book is ready. It's launching. Go order it now. That's fantastic. And generally, when people have a email collection, we encourage them to give something away. Give a quick PDF away of, I don't know, 5 tips that anyone can use to take food pictures with their iPhone, or something that is of value to them. Because while, of course, people want to hear about your book and we want them to sign up, generally they're not going to give up their email for nothing. So that's my advice. I think it's never too early to collect emails to tell people you want to keep them updated, but I wouldn't actually set up a wait list or a pre-sale list yet. If you're going to do that, I would wait until you have a book cover, until you have a title, and until you know when the book is going to come out. If you know that your book is going to come out in December and it's October and you have the cover and everything else, sure, by all means, start doing that, especially, excuse me, especially if you're doing sales directly from your website, that makes sense. But until you have a finished product, or you at least have a product that you can present to people, I would just ask to give them general updates. Hope that helps. Okay. Hi, Stephen. So Stephen's saying, sometimes my marketing is very helter-skelter. What do you recommend to do to plan out an entire year? Um, So I would say that you need to make a list of the things that work for you for marketing, or your goals. Is your goal to reach out to libraries? Is it to do bookstore marketing? Is your goal to go to homeschooling conferences? You need to make a list of what you would like to have your goal for the year. Is it to sell books into bookstores? Is it to go speak at conferences? And then you work backwards. If you really would like to do, let's say, conferences, then I would say you need to amp up your social media marketing. You need to make sure that you're doing speaker sheets and things. A year in advance is a bit long, but I would do a general plan for 3 to 6 months at a time, and then plan out ahead after that. A lot of it, once you know what works for you in marketing, it's a lot of reusing things. You're going to do ads every 2 months. You're going to do um, blogs every week. There's a lot of things that you can plan for, but then you also have to leave leeway that if your book goes viral with let's say it goes viral on YouTube, well, your marketing strategy is going to change. So you have to leave some leeway in there, but if you have a goal in mind, you can work towards it. The problem is that if you don't have a goal in mind, if you just say, I want to sell books, there's no goal. There's nothing real and realistic to work towards. So make sure that you are giving yourself a goal to work towards, Stephen. Okay. Okay, Steven's asking, do you know how Facebook Live works and can you describe it? Facebook Live is where you literally go on to your Facebook and there's a button that says live and you do a live video so people can ask questions, they can respond back and forth. It's much like a webinar, but it's only on Facebook. You can also do it to your page if you have like an author page. It's a fun little feature. So we use it every once in a while. It's not as reliable as like Zoom or a webinar. Okay, and Denise. Hi, Denise. Great to see you also. If you uploaded a paperback on KDP with the Bowker ISBN, should it also be on Ingram Spark's same ISBN? Absolutely, it should, Denise. The way that it works is that when you upload to KDP, that's where you're getting your sales for Amazon. KDP will act as the on-demand printer for Amazon, and you will use them for your Amazon sales. You need to take that same book, the same ISBN, and upload it to Ingram Spark to get into Ingram Wholesaler. That's where bookstores, a lot of libraries, retail stores will buy from, is from Ingram, that wholesaler. So it's important that you're in both places. You do not want to do expanded distribution through KDP. They take part of the profit. They take control away from you. You want to make sure that you go directly through Ingram Spark. It's also important that when you do Ingram Spark that you get a price barcode on the back of your book, because that it makes it more saleable when they go into stores. It's pretty standard. But otherwise, same ISBN, absolutely. You only need new ISBNs for a different format, not for a different upload place. I can use the same ISBN at Barnes & Noble, Amazon and KDP, Ingram Spark for Ingram, and I mean, just about anywhere. But what you do need is an ISBN for your hardcover if you have one, ISBN for your paperback, ISBN for your ebook. And if you have an audiobook, you want one for that as well. And you also need to keep in mind that if you do a second edition, let's say you change everything, you changed the cover, you had illustrations inside and you took them out and you put in a foreword, that's a new edition and that will need its own ISBN as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to email. I've got one more email question that I'm going to answer. This one is from Deborah Brown. Let's see. Are contests no longer allowed on Facebook with the new changes? Are there ways to do them that are allowed on a Facebook page? So here's the thing with Facebook contests. As of today at 9:05 a.m., the way that Facebook contest works is you're allowed to do them. They cannot be on a personal page. You have to have them in a event, a group, or on a actual page, like your author page, but not on a personal profile. And you cannot ask people to share to their personal page. You cannot ask them to tag a friend. So it used to be really popular where to get more entries into this giveaway, share on your timeline or tag a friend. You can no longer do that. People can choose to do it, absolutely, but you cannot ask them to do it. So you have to find a different way for them to have entries. Maybe it's you have a website landing page and you say click on the link and enter to win, or go sign up for my newsletter to win. That's okay. You just can't ask them to draw other people into the contest. That's no longer allowed. There's also some rules where you have to have a disclaimer that Facebook is in no way responsible or part of the promotion or giveaway. You also have to have a spot saying entering into this contest or by entering into this contest, you absolve Facebook of any responsibility, so that each entrant also acknowledges that Facebook is not responsible. You are also responsible for running the entire contest. You are responsible for following legalities. So let's say that you own a winery, and you're giving away wine. You're responsible for posting the rules and following the rules that people doing that can only, 21 and up. You have to follow if it's allowed in that country. So you have to look at your own state, your own country, and follow the rules for your area. Not only do you have to follow them, but you're supposed to post them somewhere, whether it be on the actual giveaway post or you have a landing page on your website. So you can absolutely do contests. You just have to be a little bit more careful about that. And you can find that right on Facebook. Facebook has contest rules that you can go to, which is helpful because they're constantly changing. Facebook, like Amazon, is one of those features that we love and hate at the same time because they can't seem to make up their mind. They change everything. All right. Let's see, Stephen, what are some ways that you would recommend to build a platform and audience? It depends on who your audience is. I think the first thing and the most important thing is knowing who your audience is. And to do that, you really have to see who's reading books like yours. Go on to Goodreads and find a book that's similar to yours and look at who's reviewing it. I think that's really important because who you think may be reading your book may not be. Maybe you think that your book is really going to appeal to 15-year-old girls, but the people reading it are 35-year-old women. So it's important to know your audience in order to grow your audience. And the more targeted you can be when you're looking for an audience, the better that you can serve that audience. Once you know your audience, absolutely, that's when you start really targeting in on your social media posts to target those people to make sure that you're giving something of value to your target audience, something that will draw them in. When you're doing ads, let's say you're doing social media ads, you can actually focus in on that group of people for your audience. If you're doing Amazon ads, when you're pulling keywords, you can keep those in mind and keep the people, what they may be purchasing aside from books or even other books. So you can absolutely build your platform and your audience, but it takes consistency. Another thing is if you have a blog, that's very helpful. Blogs still have a lot of followers. If especially a lot of blogs now, they'll send it out in a newsletter to let people know, and those tend to be popular. But making sure that you're giving something of value, not just buy my book, but I'm going to give you stuff so that you know me, you trust me, and then you're going to go buy my book. Okay, do you know of a software that would allow me to send people to a link, but then expire the link so that they can't click on it? Do you mean like a link to give your book away, Stephen, or what's this link for? I would need to know that before I can fully give you an answer. I will move on to the next question and come back to that one. And that is, what are some marketing ideas to do weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly, annually? Daily, I would say if you're on social media, you need to be checking your social media. Even if you use something like Hootsuite or Recurpost, where you are posting out for social media, you need to make sure that you're still checking in, you're responding to people. Getting great content out there and having no response. If someone's like, man, Stephen, that was such a great post and I loved what it said, but what do you think about this? And then they just are left hanging. That's not a good way to build a clientele. It's not a good way to build trust. So it's important that you're on there and you're interacting daily. Let's see, weekly, I would personally say weekly, it's running some ads, running some type of ads, whether it be Amazon, social media. Ads are a way to constantly draw people in, and it's a way to keep your book on the top. Because what happens is that if you're just on Amazon, if you just put your book up on Amazon and hope it sells, you might sell a couple copies. It might organically sell some. But if you're not paying to play, the chances of your book being seen are so low. And so you have to kind of pay to get your book at the top. And then the goal, of course, is that you're making more than you're spending and turning a profit, as well as getting your book out there more widespread. So I think weekly ads are important. Sometimes you'll want to take off. I mean, I've seen people who want to run ads like Christmas Day for something, and guys, sometimes people aren't shopping. Well, actually, that was a bad one because a lot of people do get Amazon gift cards and are looking on Christmas. But Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday is not a time where most people are going to be like, hey, let me just sit here and scroll along on Amazon. Easter is when people are going and doing Easter egg hunts. They're having dinner with family. So wisely, but in general, weekly is what I would suggest. Monthly. I would say for monthly things, definitely a blog. If you're not doing it weekly, definitely monthly would be great. Checking your website for updates is important. I think that's probably the most important. Monthly. Quarterly, I would say mailings. Mail out to bookstores, libraries, reaching out, making sure that they're seeing your book. And annually is really hard. I'd say annually, you really need to look at your book and see if it's still updated. Check and see if your book is still relevant, if the cover is still drawing people in, if your marketing copy is working. It's important that you don't just let a book sit there for years and expect it to still sell like it's new. You have to make sure that it's fresh. I personally like to update my Amazon ad copy every I'd say if sales go stagnant, I always look at my Amazon sales copy, and at least once a year, I think you kind of got to make sure that it's updated. Did you get a new great review, an editorial review or an endorsement from a doctor who is of note? Put it in your ad, like put it somewhere. Make sure that you're updating your listing and keeping things up there and up to date. All right. Is there a preferred or suggested price for a children's paperback book? Uh, so that question's a little bit loaded. It depends on how big your book is. Is it a children's chapter book? Is it a picture book? Is it full illustration? It really depends. Is it what age range is it for? If you let me know a little more detail, Denise, I might be able to help you out. But the best thing I can say for pricing is do your research. Go find books that are like yours, that are similar, that go to the same audience and are relatively close to the same page count. See what they're selling for. A lot of children's paperback books around 32 pages sell for about $7.99. But again, I don't know if you've got a chapter book or something. I mean, maybe you have a picture book that is 50 pages, and so you'd have to charge more just to cover print costs. Is there any real value to paying for a marketing program from a company who pitches being the best in the field to make my book a bestseller only on Amazon? Here's the thing, Jean. Bestseller on Amazon only matters on Amazon. It may impress the standard reader. It's not going to impress bookstores. It's not going to impress libraries. So it depends on what your goal is. If you just want to say, I have a bestseller, I think that there are programs that can help you get there. The problem with programs like that especially if it's like, we'll get you to bestseller for an hour, you can take a screenshot and then it's over. The problem with that is that you're going to go up, down, because they're not teaching you or they're not helping you build an overall platform that will lift your book and keep your book going strong. They're creating a quick high peak, and then you're going to fall, and then you're not going to have anything to sustain it. I don't necessarily think it's an awful thing, but I do think that unless you're putting a lot of other things in place to make sure that you have lift, that it lasts, there are a lot of books out there who can call themselves bestsellers that don't sell a single copy in a month. So it's important that you don't just have a title, but that you're actually building a true best-selling platform. And so that's all I have to say about that. There are a lot of great marketing companies out there. There are a lot of legit marketing companies out there that can help with different things in different aspects. But be wary. Be wary of anyone that promises something. Do your homework. Make sure that you have someone that maybe you can find some reviews on it, or if you know someone has used the program, that's always helpful also. All right. Stephen, you didn't let me know exactly what you were thinking for that link, but I'm going to guess that maybe you mean a book link. And if that is the case, um, the if you're sending people a book link that you want them to expire, that is absolutely, Wendy, I'll come back to that. So if you have a link you want to expire, you can use BookFunnel. You can send out, and that can actually be for just one download, or you can do it with an expiration date. Book Connect is another one. Most of the safe book sharing sites like that, they're programs, you do have to pay for them. But if you do that, then you can set an expiration date on it. If that's not what you mean, let me know. And Wendy just asked about the Insider program, and I just want to clarify. Wendy, are you talking about Bestseller Builders? Let me know. I just want to make sure that I'm answering the correct question there. And while Wendy is responding, I'll go one more question. How do I feel about blog tours? I love blog tours. Blog tours are one of my, I mean, we've used them before, but they're really hopping right now. And I like blog tours because it's a way to get your book out there. It's a way to get a lot of great SEO. So blog tours are great. They're not that expensive. It can help with reviews. What I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is that blog tours are a great way to get your book out there to get the SEO, but they don't necessarily sell books. So if think of it like a billboard. If your goal is just to get your book seen, get your name seen, blog tours are great. If you're expecting to do a blog tour and sell 1,000 copies, you're going to be disappointed. Okay, the Insider program that Amy mentioned last week that was going to launch this week. Um, Honestly, Wendy, I'm not sure what that is. I probably do, and we've been calling it something else. The only program I know of that we've really been doing is the Bestseller Builder program. And Bestseller Builders is where we help authors build their entire platform. We help you market your book from the ground up. And that program is quite large. You can go to bestsellerbuilders.com. There's a video all about it. It gives you some tips on how you can build your own platform, and also talks about how we can possibly help you build that program. So I highly encourage it. If you know you've got a great book but you don't have the time to market it, Bestseller Builders is a great program. We have a client that we're just finishing up with on Bestseller Builders. It's a 6-month program, and we're at the end for her. And in the course of her program, she has published 2 books. The third one is going to come out. We've been helping her prep with that. She went from having nothing, no newsletter, no anything, and now she does. Her first book's got 46 reviews with 17 on the one that came out this month. It's really starting to happen, and it's beautiful to see how someone who had great writing talent but didn't necessarily have the marketing savvy or didn't know all the ins and outs of publishing, because guys, it's a huge field. I mean, there's so many moving pieces, and so being able to help her not only learn how to use these programs for herself, but also helping her get out there, get professional book design for her cover and all of that, and helping build from the ground up this whole platform that now she's running with. She's got 3-4 more books coming up, and she now knows how to get those out there. And I can't wait to see how she just keeps growing on what we helped build in Bestseller Builders. So it's a really fun program. Go check it out, bestsellerbuilders.com. I know that didn't totally answer, I'm sorry, didn't totally answer there for you, Wendy, but I think that's probably what she's talking about. Okay, Miss Linda, you're a little confused about blogs and blogging. If you are a fiction author like Rick, what should the blogs be about, and where do they go? In your newsletter, on your website, somewhere else? So Linda, for blogging, I would say that they go on your website. On your website should have if he's blogging regularly, this is important. Blogs that go out sporadically, once a year, once a quarter, I'm not a fan. If you're doing regularly, and by that I mean either once a month, once a week, or every other week, absolutely have a tab on your website that is for blogs, and you can also send them out in your newsletter. You can either make it the bulk of your newsletter saying, hey, go check out my new blog, And a lot of the time, the way that people do that is they have like the first couple of lines and it says to read the full blog, click here. Or you can just make it a little piece of what your blog is or your newsletter. If you do a monthly newsletter, you can say, check out the newest blogs and then have that little bit there. Just depends on how you want to run it. For fiction authors, some of the things that you can blog about are research you're doing for the newest book. Like when he was doing Impersonators Anonymous, I'm sure, absolutely sure that he was doing research on James Dean, on oh gosh, who is that? The other people. Sorry, I'm blanking out. But I do a blog about that and what he's learning, or he can do a blog about what it's like to research. If he does any travel research, the writing process. Maybe it's a blog about how sometimes you get writer's block and how he gets out of it, or um, anything like that, really. So it can be centered around writing in general. It can be centered around your research or your characters. Sometimes I've seen fun blogs where there's kind of a almost like a small side story where people will give people, let's say there was a character and there's a book about Jim and Bob, and Jim and Bob run into a convenience store clerk that was acting really weird. And so they thought it was weird, but it didn't really amount to much in the book. Maybe you do a side blog that is all about that convenience store clerk and what led up to that part of their day and how that interaction affected them. There's fun ways to draw things in like that don't spoil the book, and also that just provide more content. If people really love a book or a series, they generally like to dig back into that world. Last week, what Amy was talking about that she was going to share with us this week is some sort of file that has all of her notes with links from like forever that we can buy and go through her notes and follow her suggestions. I will have to check into that. I don't know about that file. I can ask Amy's assistant if maybe that's it. I would guess that if it's going through, if it's something that you can buy, it's probably going to come out in our newsletter. So I'd strongly recommend that you go to newshelves.com and sign up for our newsletter if you haven't. Because I'm not exactly sure what that is. I know Amy and Daniel Hall and John Rhodes have a new book coming out, and that's Build a Bestseller Platform. And I know that book is very close to being out. Amy just got her print copies, and they're beautiful. And I know that's coming out, but as far as an actual file, I haven't talked to Amy about that. But I will certainly look into it and sign up for the newsletter because that's the best way to get updates from us. All right, guys, if you have any more questions, I've got about 1 more minute left. I'm going to hop over to Facebook and make sure that we don't have any questions there. I don't see any. So if you've got any questions, I've got about 3 more minutes. Otherwise, we will go on with our days. All right. Not seeing any more come through. So guys, that's it for today. Again, I'm Keri Barnum. I am filling in for Amy Collins, and I am the marketing director for New Shelves. It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys this morning, and I hope that we get to see you back next week. Have a great weekend.